Hey guys, it's Melanie here, and I am here for another reading update and December TBR. I finally finished this book. I haven't finished any other book, but I finished this one and I'm so proud of myself. It was really good. Julie Clausen is always amazing. We know that. But I really liked the characters. I liked the setting of this book, and I loved how she really does her due diligence in learning the history. I was lost a little bit about the history, only because I just didn't know about this specific war and this timing, just the details around it. It was new to me, and that's kind of what I appreciated of it, but I also found it really hard to follow. And again, this could just be part of me healing and reading, and you know, I didn't get discouraged. I just pressed on. So it could be that I'm struggling just because of me right now. As you guys know, I'm battling a little bit of that. And all in all, it was an incredible story. She has beautiful characters. I really loved this character's heart. Laura has a unique story based on her history. She's basically an orphan, and it's the struggle of finding her place and finding her value, yet still having this uniqueness of her and her own likes and her own purpose in life. And I loved that aspect of her story. And I liked her, she was very brave and she pressed through hard times with bravery. And I really resonated with that, especially now in my life. I really resonated with that. Another beautiful story by Julie Clausen. And I also loved the coastline. I loved the sea, and I just loved all that goodness. It was so good. Yeah. Okay, I totally lied. I actually read another book, which, yeah. I read it, I think I forgot because it was such a fast read, and I just totally forgot that I read this book. But it was so good too. It was cute. It was a fast read. There wasn't anything hard about this book, really. It was pretty predictable. Yeah. It was a good book though. Like, it just was a very quick read. It was perfect for the moment. It was snowy, it was Christmassy, and it was set in Scotland. My heart fluttered at 1800 Scotland. I think though, I felt like the characters were more modern age, but set in Scotland, which uniquely reminded me of Outlander, because the author of Outlander wasn't going to do a dual age time originally. But what I found out was she actually did it because her main character, the female main character, she had a personality of the 20th century, sort of. And so she didn't want to set her in Scotland with this personality that was very nowadays. So she did the dual timeline so that she could still be true to her character's voice and yet the story. I felt like these characters were like interjected into this scene, but weren't really from there, if you get what I mean. It was very good. Totally perfect for Christmas. Love the plaid. Love the storyline. It's a little heartbreaking, but it was still very good. I do recommend it still. It's good because it's Liz Curtis Higgs, and she's, you know, amazing. And the title of this is A Wreath of Snow. And this isn't the type of wreath you think. It's a Victorian Christmas novella, and it was very easy for me to read, and it's kind of perfect for me right now with my reading issues. Perfect kind of read. So that was another book I read. So I actually read 2 books in the end of November-ish. Then I have my TBR for Christmas. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. I moved some of my November TBR, since I didn't get to read them, to December, which is, and I've talked about these already, A Key to Love by Betsy St. Amand, and The Royal, or it's just called Royal the Novel, by Danielle Steele. I still want to read these, so actually I started this one. So these are still on my TBR. I'll talk about this one in a second, but these will continue being on my December TBR list, and I'm excited to get these read. This one's not a Christmas one, but it's just so lovely and Christmassy looking, and it's about royals. And you guys know I'm a sucker. And then the last one has been on my TBR before. I never ended up reading it, so I want to read it again. I've never read her before. Again, this is another secular author. I picked it up. It was cheap at the, you know, when you're at the cashier lineup. It just screamed Christmas to me, and I picked it up, and I really wanted a Christmas novel, and so I just grabbed it. I didn't even think about it. I just grabbed it. And normally I don't do that. I just really, really was craving a crisp. Like, it looked like chocolate bars to me. It was like, I bought it. So I want to read it. I've heard some mixed reviews, and I kind of did look up this one just because she is a secular author, and I didn't know what to expect. So I am thinking it's not as Christmassy as I was hoping for. So I'm hoping the cover lives up to the standard of the book, or the book lives up to the standard of the cover. That is a dyslexic thing right there. I'm excited to read as well. That's it for my TBR, really. I'm gonna keep it simple for myself. I'm not gonna overdo it. So there's 3 books for my TBR for December. I hope I can even get to that. It's already coming up to the middle of December, so we shall see. This is a huge book, huge. But I've really put aside time at night to read. And so I am really focusing on reading, which is great. And it's super good for my mind. I've noticed a huge difference lately, huge. I even picked up a better routine in my daily routines. And it really has made an impact on my life. This one here, I just want to talk about really quickly. I started this one. It is such a cute little romantic book. It's quite dense in the writing, like the lettering is very small. So even though this doesn't look like a very large book, because it is densely written, it's going to be a much slower read than I anticipated for myself. Having said that, I mean, already it's like 328 pages and with smaller writing, so it's quite compacted together. But having said that, I already really love this. I love the challenge of the characters coming into it. I don't want to tell you guys too much because I'm still just reading it for myself, and I want to keep it a surprise as well. And I love the cute romanciness of this book. I love the characters so far, so I'm looking forward to it. The voice, I've never read anything from Betsy St. Amant, and her voice and characters remind me a little bit of Melanie Carlson. A little bit. Just like these kind of flamboyant characters, because Melanie Carlson has a lot in her, not her earlier teenage books, but her other books, like her Christmas books or her other books. They have flamboyant characters, and I don't know how any other way to really explain it, like anything else, but that is really what it is. They're very full-flavored is what I'm gonna say, and I feel like that is the same sort of effect that Betsy kind of plays on in her characters. But the overall story and plot line and like settings and the way she describes things, the way she pulls things together in the scenes and everything like that is a little bit more advanced. And I love that. I love that because it makes it a lot more of an interesting and fuller read. It's definitely a way better way to connect. This is the book I am reading currently, and I am really enjoying it, but it is a little daunting to me. Like when I pick it up, I'm kind of like, oh, it's apprehension because it's such a compacted novel with information and not info dumping, but just the way I can process reading right now. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to be reading it. Let me know what you're reading. What kind of, are you reading Christmas books? Because I've noticed some people aren't even reading Christmas books right now on Goodreads, which is kind of cool because, I mean, it's always nice to have thematic Christmas reading in any holiday that's kind of happening to kind of just relate to it and kind of get excited about that. But it's also kind of unique to just have your own reading and not worry about those things and not feel like you're pressured to read anything in season. You have your reading TBR and you want what you want to read, and that's fine. Like the other day I was like, I'm craving a murder mystery. Oh, and that reminds me, I will not be reading Threads of Suspicion and what was the first book of that one? Something Guilt by D. Henderson, just because somebody, I think it was Celestia, she let me know that there's some trigger stuff in there that I personally cannot read. I can read a lot of other things, but that specific topic is actually really hard for me. I'm an empath. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but I take on emotions of things that I read, things that I watch, everything. Like, I mean, I'm so crazy sad to be around sometimes because, I mean, you know Mulan? Do you guys remember Mulan, the Disney one? The commercial, I bawled my eyes out because I felt it. It was very impactful for me. So scenes that really can trigger me in a very negative way, that are something that triggers me personally, I really have to be careful with, and I don't even want to try it out. The other thing that I'm leery about, and I might try, but it's probably going to be the same thing. I'm probably not going to read it. I want to. I really, really, really want to, just because I really haven't read anything by this author, and I really wanted to read it, and with the movie coming out, I was so excited. But I'm not going to be reading this one. I know, I'm so sad. But at the same time, I really wanted to do this because Oceana is going to be doing a readathon, and I really, really, really wanted to be a part of it. Like, very bad. And she's going to be starting it soon. I just don't know. I was so excited to see the movie, but by the sounds of it, it's going to be very graphic in this book with the things that happened to her and the main character as a young girl. And that's a trigger for me. I mean, real strong trigger for me. So I'm sorry, Francine Rivers. I won't be reading it. I'm sorry. But I have to do what's really important for me. And that is a huge trigger for me. And I know I would be broken, like where I'd feel like it was happening to me. And I just can't do it. But I can read these ones that I'm really excited to read. And hopefully there's nothing bad in there.
I hate finding out what I'm reading. Oh my gosh, it's so bad.
And this one, which is super nice. And I'm so proud of myself for reading those other two books. I know it's not a lot compared to what I used to read, and I know it's not a lot compared to what other people can read. But you know what? I'm going to take one day at a time, and I'm going to read. So if you guys are dealing with sort of a reading slump or mental illness even, then I encourage you just to take it one step at a time. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. Just do you. Do the reading because you love it and you enjoy it. I hope to see you next time when I go through my next TBR and reading update. Bye.